Talk us through the GM numbers. First of all, 4.6%. We were looking for some solid numbers for the U.S. automakers, and so far we're getting that.
Yeah, GM had a pretty good first 2 months that they didn't announce, April and May. This is the first quarter that they've gone to quarterly sales reporting. So we knew they had done pretty well. They haven't reported it, but we have reported it from sources and been able to show they've been doing pretty well. And then for the quarter, they came in pretty much in line, a little better than expected. A lot of the gain has been with the Chevy Silverado. That's still kind of on a closeout, so it's not quite as profitable as it might usually be, but those tend to be very profitable. It's really the bright spot in the full-size truck market today. And you see a lot, it's really on SUVs. It's the same trend we see all throughout America, right? SUVs are doing great and sedans not so much.
You mentioned that this is the first time that GM is reporting the quarterly numbers instead of monthly numbers. What was the thinking behind that? And have other automakers, Ford, for instance, or Chrysler, picked up the baton and indicated that they'll move in the same direction?
Yeah, GM indicated they felt like their numbers weren't being properly understood. They were too nuanced. I think we have done a great job over the years of covering that and capturing all the nuance. But that's just my own perspective. But I think I was confused to me when they said it would save some money and they thought there would be less noise in the market this way. And at first, because GM is so influential, it looked like a lot of automakers would be following. We kind of thought maybe today would be a day we would see a lot of announcements. Instead, no one has followed yet. I think in part because we've been able to report. They tell still the Fed and some important analysts what the results are, and then the results get out. So it's sort of like trying to keep that information from the market, from investors, isn't really working. So I don't think anyone else is going to bother following. We'll know more maybe by the end of the year.
Yeah. I wonder if we're getting any color from these automakers, especially as they hold their conference calls, on what demand looks like, what the supply picture looks like going forward with these different tariffs that the U.S., China have been imposing on one another. Obviously, they won't necessarily affect the numbers for the month or the quarter just ended, but any kind of color that these executives are offering?
Well, the one call that's gone so far, Keith Naughton's monitoring the Ford call. A lot of concern about cars and demand for cars in general. And of course, a lot of the cars, the sedans and coupes that are sold in the U.S. are made elsewhere, either in Asia or in Mexico. So those are very much at risk going forward. It's really hard for the companies. We just had a story yesterday. John Lippert had a story about some big investments in Alabama being held up because of uncertainty over trade. Just the concern. The companies are working really hard. They're analyzing all the possibilities. They just have no idea what's going to happen, and so they're a little bit frozen.